Being a school, a public school, is difficult. Simply because you have to find a balance between the professional values and the bureaucratic values. And this balance is never perfect. There's always an imbalance. The tendency in most of Europe at the moment is that the professional values are losing and the administrative values are winning, which is terrible. It makes your job terrible, but it makes also for terrible organizations. So we have to struggle with that. We have to face the fact that the values of a bureaucratic institution is very different from those of a professional. We have to take much better care of teachers. Much better. They are one of the most neglected groups in our societies all over. Politicians are using them as they please. In some years they're using them as prügelknabe, and as they would say in Austria. Others, they are like, well, you're holding the future of our country in your hands. School is a political system. It is a political tool. It is a very powerful political tool. But that doesn't mean that we should not take good care of the people who work there. Make schools into a wonderful working place, a stimulating, professional working place for teachers, then our children will feel better. Not before. It doesn't happen just in terms of becoming child-friendly. And let me say very clearly, because I have this identity of being a child friend, that I don't like this discussion between schools or politicians and parents, because parents are saying, well, the schools must be there for our children. And most politicians are lying. They say, yes, of course. Schools are not there for children. Schools are there for society. I think Slovenian children have a duty to go to school. It was not made because it was difficult to teach children 125 years ago. It was made as a duty because you had to force the parents to send the children to school. Now we still have it. I don't know why. I don't know why we in the European democracy do not decide tomorrow that from now on children have a right for education and not a duty for education. It would make the whole relationship between teachers and children much clearer and much better. Not to speak of the relationship between parents and schools. So let me say it very clearly. It is in a school or a kindergarten like in a family. The children are never doing better than the adults are doing. So if you want something, if you want schools to be extremely good for children, make them extremely good for teachers. And we have seen that time after time after time. We have seen very inventive, very energetic school managers, school directors who said, yes, now I have this school, I'm calling you because I want to change that, and we have to do this and this and this and this. And then 3 years later they lost because they forgot to talk to their teachers. And they forgot to say, well, is this okay? We struggle with that in Norway. Norway is a very centralistic country. So if the Ministry of Education decides, now you're going to do this and this instead of this and this, they will either write to the teachers or they will give them one day like this with 800 teachers, and then they will assume that they can do it when they go home. which is, not so clever. So we have been trying, we worked with 40 schools in Oslo, and it took us 2 years to convince the authorities that if teachers must have a chance to improve their skills, they need training. They don't need any more teaching. They need training, they need professional development, they need input in terms of intervision, supervision, coaching. School leaders and teachers tend not to like supervision because supervision came from psychiatry and psychology. But they love coaching, and it doesn't matter because it's the same. So just call it coaching. The important thing is that they have partners. We forget sometimes that teachers are one-man shows or one-woman shows. We have seen amazing results in Denmark from just making teams of teachers so that they were not having each their little kiosk at the school, but they were actually trying to build a supermarket together. So there are many things to do. Many of these, of course, cost money. Some of them are absolutely free because they comes from changing what is between our ears. I'm usually not very, I don't know what to say, I'm not very, I don't see things black. But I must say that after spending the last 2 months intensively with families, parents of school children, and schools in Germany and Austria, it is time to make a change. Not just small adjustments, but it is time to make major changes, or we will have many, many more disasters. It is not coincidental that those young people who come into schools and kill, it's not coincidental that they choose schools. It's because that's where they were hurt the most. That is where they have the baddest memories from. They could go into kindergarten. They could also go into, supermarket. They could go into the church. They could go many places. But they go to schools because that's where it hurt. And that's where I need revenge. So I think it is very important that we really see that the basis of the relationship between the adults who work in schools and the children who also work in schools is improved as soon as possible. And let me tell you that it is very easy. I gave you this short speech of a school headmaster. Again this year we have been so fortunate that so and so many have come every day. We would like to thank you for that. I think everybody here knows that if you make that speech from your heart 2 times in a year, you have a fan club of 350 children. They will love you. They will do everything you say. They might even become obedient again. But you cannot beat it to them or beat them to it. You have to be not nice in a sweet way, but you have to be decent. Yes. There are many more things to say about this. The book will also contain a very big chapter of how to renew the collaboration between parents and teachers, parents and schools, and there's a description of some very easy methods for teachers to start working with, but all that will have to wait till October.